Hello, class 12C. Today I am going to start chapter 2 from your book Indian Economic Development. Topic is Indian Economy 1950 to 1990. So, in this chapter, we are going to discuss about whatever initial decision taken by government regarding adoption of 5-year plan, adoption of mixed economy, then agricultural reform, industrial reform, foreign trade reform. Okay, so this is the content of the chapter. Initially we are going to cover these topics: types of economy, economic planning, difference between objective and plan, features, achievement, and agrarian reform. Okay, so let us start. Already in the first chapter we come to know that our agriculture sector is totally backward and stagnated. And if we talk about any other sector, it is also totally backward and stagnated. Now we had got our independence. Now our aim is to become a developed economy. So for that we have to take lot of major decisions and we have to implement it properly. So in this chapter we are going to discuss about those steps taken by the government so that we can change our scenario from backward and stagnated to a developing and become a developed economy. So first of all, the decision that is taken by our Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru is to adoption of economic planning. We adopted 5-year plan and we borrow this concept from Soviet Union. Now, Planning Commission has been given responsibility to construct plan for India. It was established in 1950. The first plan duration is 1951 to 56. The second 5-year plan is based upon the formula of Dr. Mahalobis and he is known as the architecture of Indian planning. Okay, what is 5-year plan? So here is the meaning. It is a process of defining the set of target or objective that to be achieved during a given period of time. Now, recently in 2015, Planning Commission has been replaced by Niti Aayog. Now, its full form is National Institute for Transforming India. It was formed in 2015. Okay, its function to better serve the need of and aspiration of people of India, to foster cooperation between state and central government. Okay, uh, CEO of Niti Aayog is appointed by Prime Minister. Present CEO is Amitabh Kant. Okay, one thing, this Niti Aayog is known as a think tank, yeah, advisory body. Okay, and in this uh, Niti Aayog system, any state who want any suggestion or technical advice, yeah, want to get the solution of any social economic issue, it go to this think tank. They work on that and they give all the proper suggestions and time to time evaluation. It is related to bottom to approach. Whenever there is any formulation of policy or any planning, so all states chief minister will participate. Planning commission was top up approach. uh, Board member and prime minister, they make the plan and state have to implement it. But now the scenario has totally changed. Now when we adopted that ki we accept 5-year plan, so there are two things: which type of planning we are going to accept, directive planning or comprehensive planning. So this is the question 2 that is in front of the policy maker at the time of independence. Okay, so majority of economy, that is mixed economy, or that is socialistic economy, they accept comprehensive planning. Okay, what is directive planning? So this is related to market economy, या capitalistic economy, या free economy. All the decisions are taken by market force, demand and supply. Okay, government don't do any production work, no participation of government. Okay, so it is basically applicable in free economy. Now comprehensive planning, it is just opposite. Here government directly participate in production of foods as well, production of production of goods and services, like India. Indian government participate in production of large scale industry, small scale industry. It run hospitals, school, roadways, buses, trains. So there is direct participation in production of food as well as in services. So here is direct participation. It is basically applicable in mixed economy and socialistic economy. So India, the first question, it adopted 5-year plan. Second, comprehensive planning. Now, there are two terms that looks similar, but there is basic difference. So we are going to discuss it. Objectives of planning and objective of plan. So it is related to long term goal. It is known as a perspective. It is related at least 20-year goal. Yet 20 year of time period what we had achieved. Now plan is related to particular plan what we had achieved. So it is short term goal. Okay, in India we are having these long term goal. If we are able to achieve this, we are able to become a developed economy. Okay, so first is GDP, second is equitable distribution, third is full employment, next is modernization, and then self sufficiency. Okay, growth is related to what? Growth is related to increase in GDP plus per capita income. So this condition is known as a growth. Equity means all the people are able to fulfill their basic requirement. Yani there will be less problem of poorness or poverty. Full employment, it is a situation when all the people who are willing, they are getting the job. Means there is zero involuntary unemployment. Modernization, it is related to adaptation of new technology and change in social outlook. Like when there is a condition of COVID, so we switched from offline to online education. Okay, change in social outlook means कि there should be no biasness on the basis of gender, on the basis of religion, on the basis of casteism or any other basis. ठीक है, so all the people are human being and treated same way. सेल्फ सफिशियंसी, सफिशियंसी मीन्स डिपेंडेंसी, खुद पे डिपेंडेंट होना, यानी कि इंडिया इज एबल टू प्रोड्यूस ऑल टाइप ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज विद इन द कंट्री. नाउ GDP, so GDP is related to increase in GDP and per capita income. If we find growth, so there will be increase in resources and productivity of the economy. Full employment, so this is the condition when all the people who want get the job. Okay, it is very important to eradicate problem of unemployment, but you have to remember full employment does not mean zero unemployment. There is always some people unemployed who are not want to work, like students. According to our legislation, after 14 you can free to do the job, but there are many youngsters who enrolled in higher education, technical education, professional education, and they don't want to work because they want to have a higher education. So this type of unemployment always remain, yani voluntary unemployment always remain in the economy, but involuntary unemployment is not going to be persist. Okay, equity. So this is the condition when all the people are able to satisfy their basic need. This is related to growth with social justice, yani there should be equitable distribution of NI. There will be less gulf between poor and richer section. Now, we are going to talk about the agriculture sector. So low productivity is the basic feature of agriculture sector. and because of that we are backward and we are importing food from the America. There are more other features like we are dependent on rainfall. There is disguised unemployment, yani more people are working than the requirement. A small and scattered land holding, a person is having two or three land in different place. Subsistence farming, yani ki farmer are is only able to produce according to the need. Lack of modern input, we are using totally traditional way of farming. So these are the feature of Indian farming. Now, what the problem faced by the farmer? So, first is irrigation facility. We are totally depend upon rainfall. Very less irrigation facility is in India. Okay, if rainfall is good, harvest is going to be good. If rainfall is not good, the harvest is also bad. Now, deficiency of finance. So, before the nationalization of commercial bank, rural credit is totally depend upon non-institutional sources and they exploit Indian farmer very badly. Okay, now traditional outlook, people are doing only production for the self consumption. They are not using new technology, so they don't know about the market table surplus and they don't know how to make profit from the farming. Now, other problem is small and scattered land holding. Land was small and divided into pieces. So we can't use new technology. Okay, and in this way productivity is low. Lack of organized market. So market is unorganized. They are forced to sell their product at a very low price, that is known as a distress sell. Okay, and in this way they are always caught in debt trap. Now, what steps taken by the government to improve it? So, here are the reform: technical, land are institutional, and general reform. These are reform, yeah, steps taken by the government to improve condition of agriculture sector. So, technical reform is related to upgradation of technology. Land reform is related to providing ownership to tiller of the soil या cultivator of the soil and change their approach. They are able to make the marketable surplus and make the profit. General reform is related to providing credit, providing irrigation facility and other things. So technical reform is what? It is related to upgradation of technology and enhancing productivity. So within that, it is related to use of HYV seeds. HYV seeds increases productivity many more time. Okay, and because of that there is green revolution within the India. Now when we are using HYV seed, we require use of chemical that enhance productivity, okay, and promote fertility of the soil. When we are using fertilizer and HYV, we also require to use insecticide and pesticide because these seeds are very sensitive. There are more pest attack and insect attack, so we have to use time to time insecticide and pesticide. After that, we should know about the scientific farm management. It is why because we are able to make the rational use of these fertilizer, pesticide and insecticide. If there is lack of any nutritions, then we use that fertilizer. Okay, now machine, government has promoted to use of machine so that we can do the work of farming in very less time. Okay, next is land or institutional reform. It is related to change, yeah, make improvement in relation between owner and tiller of the soil. So first step is taken by the government, abolition of Jamindari system. We know it is a triangular arrangement and because of this arrangement no one want to invest in land and because of that there is backwardness and low productivity. Now government also regulated the rent. It can't be more than one third of the total output. Consolidation of land holding. Consolidation means to join. So here farmer is going to get land at one place for the fragmented and scattered land holding. What is its purpose? To enhance productivity. When they are having all the land together, so they can use modern way of farming. Ceiling of landholding. So ceiling of landholding is related to uh, how much a one person can have maximum. It is related to fixing the land amount that can be kept by one individual. If an individual is having more than it, so government can going to take away it and redistribute among the landless farmer. It is for equitable distribution of agricultural land. Cooperative farming. So there are many farmers who are having small and marginal land holding. So they cannot apply HYV technology. So for that there is a introduction of cooperative farming. All the farmers are going to join their land and they are going to do farming together. They are going to bear the cost together, and when they are going to sell it and whatever money they are going to earn, it is redistributed among them. So in this way they are also able to get the benefit of HYV technology. Now this green revolution is what introduction of technical reform in agriculture increases crop productivity and production. This is known as a green revolution. Its time duration is 60 to 70. In the first phase, HYV seeds are used only in few states like Punjab, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu. Okay, and it is related to only few crop like wheat and rice. In 1970 to 8, it is implemented all over the India, and more crop is included within it. Now there are debate कि so much time has passes, so there is need to still provide subsidies to the farmer. So there are many argument in favor like this technology is very costly, okay, and it is very important to continue this technology. Farming is very risky business, okay, and there are very poor farmer who can't afford these fertilizer, insecticide, pesticide at a market price, okay. So if we will withdraw this subsidy, so the biasness between big farmer and small farmer is going to be more. So in this way the economists support subsidies in HYV technology. Now there are few economists who are against. What they give, they say कि this subsidy only given benefit to the fertilizer industry and big farmer, okay, and it does not benefit it to small farmer and poor farmer. So in my opinion, yeah, you can write in conclusion that we should give subsidies to the poor and marginal farmer, and we can use direct beneficial transfer, okay, system, so that uh, fertilizer industry is not going to make the misuse of this money. Now what are the achievement of green revolution? So cultivation area has increased and production and productivity both has increased. Now farmer has shifted from conventional to commercial farming. They are producing more than their need and they are selling it in the market. Change in farmer outlook, okay, so they are using cash crop, they are using horticulture, they are using animal husbandry, many more things, okay. Self sufficiency in food grain. Because of the green revolution, production has increased more than our requirement, so whatever surplus it is purchased by the government, and government use this surplus for the maintenance of buffer stock, for running public distribution system, and this food grain is used at the time of natural calamities or any disaster. Like during the COVID, government has given free wheat, free rice to the poor people, okay. Now failure. So uneven spread. All farmer and all state are not able to get same level of benefit. Limited farming population, okay. So it is a very expensive technology, so basically it is benefited to richer farmer. It has make more differentiation between the poor and big farmer. It is related to only few product and no rise in crop of jute, cotton and tea. Now, with these technical and land reform, there are some general reform like expansion of irrigation facility. Okay, farmer are come to know about dry farming technique and provision for the credit. So many bank has established it cheap at the cheap rate they are able to get the credit. Now, NABARD has been established in July 1982 so that agricultural credit can be provided to the farmer in very easy manner. Then government plan to regulate the market, okay, so that farmer are able to get good price for their product. Now, PDS minimum support policy is also adopted by the government so that they are able to get incentive for farming. Now, industrial reform. So, in industrial reform, we are going to cover these topic. So, first of all, we know that at the eve of independence, there are very few modern industry. Our handicraft industry was totally ruined up. So now there is requirement to start in a new way. So here we are going to discuss about that. So first of all, we are going to understand what is the importance of industry, epicenter of economic growth. If you want to become a developed economy, so you can't think only with the agrarian economy. You have to maintain a strong development of industry, because when there is industrial development, whatever surplus labor force it is used by the industry, there will be less unemployment, there should be less disguised unemployment, income of the people are going to be more high, and there will be emergence of new class, and overall the economy is going to be boost. So here is that. Now, sources of unemployment: when there is more industry, so there is need of more labor, and in this way there will be job creation. Sources of machinized mean of farming: for the farming, whatever machine we are using like tractor, thresher machine, all these are produced by industrial sector. Okay, next is infrastructural growth. If you want to industrialization, so you are required to have transportation, communication, power supply, good education, good health facility. So where there you find industrialization, you find infrastructure also. Growth of civilization. So when there is industrialization, there will be urbanization, and there will be new trend of civilization. There we find less biasness on the basis of religion and casteism. Okay, industrialization assign co-non lead to a growth. So industrialization is must if you want to become a developed economy. Now, initially government has been given to leading role, private has been given subsidized role. Why? So we are going to discuss here why government sector has been given leading role. The first point is lack of capital or finance. So private sector is not having that much money that India require. Okay, so that is the reason government is given leading role. Next is lack of incentive to invest, because majority of people are living in poverty, so demand is very less, market size is very less. So in that condition, private sector who are having the money, they also don't want to invest the money. So because of this also government is needed to play leading role. Next is growth with the social justice. All of us know that private always work for the profit, and there are majority of people who are living under the poverty line. So in this case, if we want balanced growth, there is need government will come in front and do the work of production of goods and services for the poor society. Now, so we are going to discuss here what steps taken by government for the industrial development. So first is IPR 1956. So it is related to threefold classification. Okay, in the first category, those industry that is run by the government sector and its number is 17. After that, second category, it is developed jointly by the public and private. There are total 12 industry and remaining is for the private sector. And to control it, there is industrial licensing. Okay, all the private firm require license, yani written permission. Okay, written permission from the government for what? At the time of expansion, at the time of diversification, and at the time of expansion. All the three times they require written permission: development, expansion, and for the operation. Why? So that there will be social welfare, industry is going to be open in backward area, and there will be controlled development of private sector to promote regional equality. So these are the reason. Now next is industrial soaps are concentration. If industry is open in a backward area, so government is going to provide many concession. Okay, tax holidays, subsidize electricity, power and water supply. Now, so first thing we come to know about the IPR 1956, Industrial Act 1951. Next is that till the 1990, a small scale industry has been given more importance in compared to large scale industry. So what is this? A small scale industry. Village and small scale industry Karmic committee was set up in 1955 and they has given emphasis on leading role of SSI. SSI is defined in terms of maximum investment allotted on the assets. In beginning it is 5 lakh, now it is 1 crore. Okay. Feature: labor intensive and employment intensive. SSI always going to use labor intensive technique, because of that there are more job creation. Okay. Locational flexibility and promote regional equality. You can start anywhere this SSI, like making of agarbatti, making of purse, shoes, boot, okay, purse, printing of, dyeing. So you can start anywhere because you don't require any specific raw material. So there is flexibility, and because of SSI we can open it anywhere, in village, in any small area. So there will be regional equality. Need small investment and equity orientation. So for the open up small scale industry we require very less money, so anyone can open. So there will be less personal biasness, there will be less gap between poor section and richer section. Now feature of industrial growth strategy. So public sector has been given leading role so that there will be growth with justice. Okay. Secondary role is given to private sector, and to control it there was industrial licensing system, okay, within Industrial Act 1951. We had focused upon import substitution, yani ki we are going to produce all type of goods and services within the country. In order to protect domestic industry, there was tariff and quota. Large scale industry is only opened by the government, and only there is very restricted development. There are more importance given to small scale industry. Why? Because there will be more job employment, more regional development, and more people are able to open the industry. Now, next and last topic, foreign trade policy that is adopted from 1950 to 99. So these are the topic we are going to cover here. Okay. So first of all, introduction. So we know कि on the eve of independence, India was exporter of raw material and importer of finished British good. Okay, so this was the scenario, and we are doing majority of trade with the Britain. Okay, monopoly control of Britain. We are earning export, but this export is used in favor of Britishers, not for the Indian. That is known as a drain of India's wealth. So here we are going to learn what government has done to improve the condition of foreign trade. So volume of trade. So this is the condition of 1947. Already I had told you all the things. Till the 1950 to 99, global share has increased, and maximum export and import we are doing from USA in place of Britain. Direction of trade. So 70% trade is done with the Britain. Britain is having monopoly control, but now there are many partner: UAE, US, Australia, China, etc. Composition, yani what we are trading. So till 1947, exporter of raw and importer of British finish. In 1950 to 99, we are exporting raw material, consumption goods, okay, and increase in manufacturing good. Trade policy. So there are two trade policy in the society, in the world. Import substitution, that is known as a inward looking strategy. Next is export promotion, that is known as a outward looking strategy. So India adopted this one from 1950 to 1991, and now we are adopting this one. So what is this import substitution? We are going to produce all the goods and services within the country rather than importing it. Why we had adopted it? To promote domestic industry, to become self-reliant, to exchange foreign money. Now, so here we are going to understand that till 1990 we adopted import substitution, because after 200 of year we got independence, so we don't want to again dependent on any other country. So that is why the first focus of India was to become self-reliant in production of all type of goods and services, and there will be development of indigenous industry. So because of these two we adopted import substitution. Now, critical appraisal of strategy of India's foreign trade. So our contribution has increased from 25% to 12%. Expansion of industries, especially engineering and consumer goods. Significance, expansion and growth of electronic industry. Protection of SSI opened opportunity of investment and generate employment. Now, what against? Public sector was given leading role, and there is corruption, inefficiency. Okay, domestic industry failed to achieve international standard. Indiscrimination spread of public sector, and because of there is wastage of resources, and there is less consumer welfare. Political compensation to bear economically unwillingness, loss making profit sector firm. Our inward looking policy failed to develop a strong export sector. So thank you for today. If you are having any problem, so in revision class you can ask to me. Thank you.